Hi, I'm Beth. I'm parent carer to three children, two of whom have an array of disabilities and health conditions, and then a little 3-year-old boy who's just a little 3-year-old boy. I think another big area for me is children's mental health. Um, for our own family, especially, it was really difficult through COVID. Being in shielding is clinically vulnerable, and my middle child was off school. She had gone through a really difficult time at school previous to that, where she'd been bullied. So the time in shielding was, she enjoyed not being at school then, and she was terrified. I mean, she had such a fear of being in school, added on top of that, because the media was saying clinically extremely vulnerable, you need to stay indoors, you're at danger of dying. And then in the next breath, schools are the place that are the biggest spreaders of COVID. So in her head, she was like, but if I go to school and I bring it home, you'll die. And to put that kind of pressure on top of a child, any child, is going to have a massive impact on their mental health. So we spent the whole sort of time in shielding repairing her self-confidence, her self-esteem, building that up, and just sort of focusing on, we are in for the foreseeable, so let's use it to the best of our advantage, sort of thing. But I think my children know I place a big focus on my own well-being. I have a self-care routine that's every single night. I have my Beth o'clock, and it's my bubble bath, my book, my candles, and it's an hour, and it's just an hour where I can decompress. I just chill, relax, and just, it's just my time to go over the day and just wind down, sort of thing. So I think because I've always had that since Rebecca was maybe about 2 and she's 20 now, it's embedded in my day-to-day routine. So they've grown up seeing that, so they like to just have a pamper. We'll often go after the weekends and what we're doing today, I just kind of want a chill day. So it's like, right, we get the face packs, the hair treatments, put a film on, sit back, chill. And I think recognizing that as parents, we need to be vocalizing that mental health is important, and we all have, and it covers such a big barrier. Often sometimes you'll think, oh well, it's mental health, it's if you've got a mental health condition, but it's not. We all need to be looking after our own mental health and well-being to ensure that we don't end up with a mental health condition, and that means focusing on your own well-being every single day. And I think the more we normalize talking about, well, actually this makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, it makes me feel a bit anxious, I'm a bit upset today, the more that becomes the normal for the adults around children, the sooner that children will actually realise they can verbalise it and it's not going to be frowned upon. Nobody's going to think you're weird. It's a normal thing. I really wish they'd done more mental health and well-being in schools, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions, especially with the sort of secondary age, where they just think, they'll be stigmatized for having anxiety or having any kind of mental health, if they're depressed. And there's a lot of, because they have that misunderstanding, you hear, kids will get upset, have a cry, and I've heard it myself recently, and oh well, I'm having a nervous breakdown, that kind of thing. And you think, if an adult stepped in there and said, well, actually, no, that's completely normal. You can have a cry, you can be upset, you can explain how you're feeling, or don't explain, it's up to you, it's your choice, but recognize where you're feeling and where you're at and within yourself, sort of thing. And then how can we avoid it the next time? What strategies could we put in place to help support that? And I think it is just, I would love to see more things done in schools. And I know we come down to funding and things like that. There was talk before where CAMS were going to put in a hub in each school in Surrey, and have one designated person that would work with the children, so that the first point of contact would be with that person, and then they could arrange sort of workshops and things like that. And I thought it was a really great idea, but that was pre-COVID, so I don't know what happened to that idea. But I think it would be lovely to have just a sort of drop-in kind of idea where there's maybe even just one or two adults, and you know, the child can come in, even if it is just to chill for 5 minutes and just get their health, you know, their head together, self-regulate, and then go back to class. It would just be nice to have that, where it's a recognition that you're having a moment, and it's okay to have that moment, but it's also okay to say that you need 5 minutes out to self-regulate. And you know, self-regulation and self sort of understanding of where your needs is at is not just for people with autism. It's not just for people that have you know, ADHD or any kind of neurodiversity. We should all be self-checking in to see where we're at and how we can feel better in ourselves, and what could we do to make today any better. What would I not do today, you know, that I wouldn't do another day, to stop myself from getting to that stage. And I think it's really important to, as adults, sort of recognise our role in that, be it in the house, in the school, and wherever, and try and give, you know, our children just that better sort of sense of themselves, and let them sort of validate where they're at, and to know that it is okay not to be okay. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to have a bad mood. It's okay to be angry. It's okay. Any kind of emotions, you own your own emotions, and to be able to verbalize that, and to talk about it, and to find a place to, you know, make it okay for you, is a really, really big tool for any child.